New Senator Joni Ernst speaks out about being a survivor of sexual assault. The New York Times. Washington. Joni Ernst was elected to the Senate in 2014 after a campaign portraying her as a mother soldier. This week, Ms. Ernst, Republican of Iowa, said there was another element to her identity, one that came to light only after highly personal details related to her divorce inadvertently became public. She is a survivor of sexual assault. In interviews, Ms. Ernst, a member of the Senate Republican leadership, said she had been a victim of spousal abuse and campus rape. "What I want people to understand is that I am the same person as I was last week. You just know more." She said she had not yet wanted to reveal what had happened to her, and was speaking out now only because the divorce filings had briefly become public before being sealed. "I was not ready to talk about my situation," Ms. Ernst said in a This Week, during which she addressed the end of her marriage and also revealed that she was raped while in college. A spokeswoman, "I am a survivor, and I fully believe that our survivors have the right to keep their stories to themselves if they don't want to share those stories or are not ready to share those stories," Ms. Ernst, who is running for re-election in 2020, told reporters during a visit to Iowa on Wednesday. "I will always continue to work with survivors and provide them the best possible resources I can," she said. She said that we have to modernize it, she continued. "We have to reorganize." Ms. Ernst's story drew expressions of shock and support from lawmakers of both parties. "My heart goes out to her," Representative Debbie Dingell, Democrat of Michigan, on Thursday. A conservative favorite, Ms. Ernst was interviewed as a potential running mate for Donald J. Trump during the 2016 campaign. She declined to be. "I understand it's newsworthy, but this is a huge violation of her privacy," said Karen Kadrowski, director of the Carrie Chapman Catt Center for Women in Politics at Iowa State University. It would not surprise. The release of the court documents meant Ms. Ernst lost control of her own story. But her decision to, in Congress, Ms. Ernst and Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, Democrat of New York, have advocated on behalf of victims of sexual assault in the military. But Ms. Ernst was also among female legislators casting doubt on the testimony of Christine Blasey Ford, the educator whose allegations of high school sexual assault by Justice Brett M. Kavanaugh nearly derailed his Supreme Court nomination. "I am glad that she is here, and it's important that we hear from her," Ms. Ernst. However, honestly, I don't think she's thinking about the politics of this, said Dave Cockle, a Republican strategist who worked on Ms. Ernst's Senate campaign and is close to her. "This is much more of." The court documents were filed as part of Ms. Ernst's divorce from her husband, Gail Ernst, which was finalized this month. In the filings, Ms. Ernst said in the documents that her husband assaulted her after she confronted him about an alleged affair with the family's babysitter. She said she fled. The City View story quotes Ms. Ernst as saying in the documents Gail agreed to go to counseling at Arthur Air Force Base to repair our marriage, but he told me not to bring up the assault in our counseling sessions. I stupidly. Mr. Ernst alleged in the divorce proceedings that Ms. Ernst had an affair with a man under her command while the couple was in the military. He has not commented.